Am I filming from a new angle? I sure am, because today is not actually a makeup video. Today I'm going to talk about some things that have been making me very happy lately. I have a list. First off, I've gotten really into plants. I've gotten quite a few new plants in the past couple of months because they make me happy. I just really like plants. I like taking care of things. I don't have a pet, so I substitute that for plants. And I have a few. I have a really pretty little monstera that my boyfriend's mom got for me. I bought a Queen of the Night plant from somebody here in Montreal. I got it off of Kijiji, and that one I got it because my boyfriend told me one day, he's like, oh, you know what plant I want? Because he's been playing Yakuza lately. Apparently that's like a plant, they mention it in the game at some point. It's the Queen of the Night. It's a succulent, a cactus of sorts. And he said one day as we were walking, he's like, you know what plant I want? A Queen of the Night. It only blooms like one night a year. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. And so I figured, you know what, he wants that. I'm gonna get it for him for like our anniversary or for his birthday or something. And so I went out and I found one. Somebody was selling it on Kijiji for like really not a whole lot. And it was a beautiful big plant. I'll throw in some like bee footage of this plant because it's absolutely beautiful, and it's been growing these like enormous tendrils. Apparently it's trying to grab onto trees, and I'm like, bitch, where? Yeah, it's gorgeous and it smells really nice. Like every time I go near it, I just have this like overwhelming scent of like earth and green things, and it's just, I love it so much. And I can't wait for it to bloom. It's supposed to bloom in like 2 years or something, but it seems to be thriving because it's growing all of these like little tendrils out of the leaves and out of the ground and stuff. Yeah, I bought it, and now we have a Queen of the Night cactus. And I came home, he's like, oh, I wasn't actually being serious. I'm like, well, we have one now, so too bad. And the other one that I got is a pothos. I got a golden pothos. I would like to put it in a basket at some point and hang it up on the wall, but right now it's just on the shelf. It's growing these vines down, and I saw a recent video that said that if you leave the branches to flow downwards, that their leaves grow smaller. So I have to figure out a way to get the leaves to go up, the vines to go up, so that way the leaves can really thrive. And then I got a dragon tree. I think it's called a dragon tree. It's those, you see them in every single household. Like we had one growing up. I'm pretty sure my mom still has it, but it's just like this spiky tree. It's just a spiky tree. And it looked so sad because I bought it from the grocery store across the street, and they had put it in a window, and this plant doesn't necessarily like direct sunlight, and all of its leaves were so droopy, and I brought it home and the soil was so dry. I felt so bad for it, and as soon as I added water to the soil, the leaves just perked right up. I ripped off all of the bad leaves, and I left only like the healthy ones, and as soon as I gave it some water, it like automatically just perked up its leaves, and it seemed a lot more happy. So I was very thrilled that it seemed to be thriving in its new home. The next thing I've been doing that's been making me quite happy is planning a small garden for next year. So I've been watching a lot of these videos of people who kind of live in the middle of nowhere, and most of them have like these gardens that they work on in the spring and the summer and the fall, and I kind of want a piece of that, even though I live like downtown. So I have this balcony that I would like to hang these little pots off of the railing, these like little garden areas, and then plant like tomatoes and basically everything that I could possibly plant and like put onto this balcony I want to do for next year. So I have like a list of different vegetables and herbs and fruits, like berries and things that I want to grow, and flowers. I'd love to grow a sunflower on my porch. Like I would absolutely adore that. Another thing that I've been doing that has really contributed to my better mood lately and my increase in motivation and just overall well-being is I've been working out consistently. Like almost every day I've been following the Chloe Ting workouts. This month I've been doing the Movember workout session, the program, that's what it's called, the program. I've been doing the program, and I've been noticing a huge improvement in just my overall mood and health, and just feeling my muscles get stronger because I have weights now that I use, and I do those like when I can. Noticing that improvement has just been so motivating, and I don't want to stop because I don't want to lose that progress. And just like seeing my muscles just like be more defined on my body is just, it feels good. It makes me feel really good. It makes me feel like I'm progressing, like I'm doing well. So it's been something that has really been making me happy. Just the fact that I can get up and do it and it's become a habit has just, it's contributed to my happiness lately. So I would recommend it. Even just like 1 or 2 workouts, because her workouts are really short. They're like 15, some of them are 10-15 minutes long. And even just one of them, on days when I can bring myself to do just one, I already feel that much better. So another of the things that I've been doing that has helped me kind of flex my creativity more, other than this channel, is I've been getting really into art again and improving my art, because I've been drawing all my life. I've always loved drawing and coloring and stuff, but about 2 years ago, 2-3 years ago now, I bought my iPad Pro so that I could draw more. And I noticed as soon as I got it, immediately I started drawing more than I ever have in my whole life. Like from 3 years ago when I got my iPad to now is the biggest like upward momentum in improvement that I've ever had across my entire history of drawing and making art. Just because the barrier to entry, financially aside, the barrier to entry just from point A to B is, there's less of a barrier in the way, because like before, if I were to do this on paper and learn how to color and render and do lighting, would require a lot of like physical equipment that I didn't necessarily have, or I would be overwhelmed with the amount of stuff that I would need to accomplish those things, and just the amount of effort it would take to do something physically versus digitally, where there I had literally everything. It was like a click of a button to change the type of pencil or brush I was using. And for me, just getting over that hump was like, that was the biggest barrier to my improvement. So having that so easily accessible now, it just like, my improvement has skyrocketed, and I've noticed that I'm more motivated to actually try to improve and do better. Being able to work on my art on the iPad, just in general, being able to improve my art has been making me very happy. Like seeing a physical improvement from before and to now, I feel very motivated. I'm happy. It brings me a lot of joy. One of the things that I absolutely love about Montreal is how many parks there are here within the city limits. I used to live in Vancouver, and I lived near Stanley Park, which it's a beautiful park, but honestly, I think it's quite overrated. But the parks here, there's so many, and each of them offers something different, that it's like, it's such a pleasure to go and walk in them. One of my favorite parks that I've discovered recently was Angrignon. It's on the Green Line. If you go all the way to the end, there's this massive park, and it's very accessible because you just go on the metro, and I'm like right next to the metro station. So like you go down the Green Line all the way to the park, and there's this like massive park. It takes about like an hour and a half to walk around the whole thing. It's not super big, but it's like, it's pleasant. And especially in the fall, like I was there last weekend and it was so beautiful, the colors of the trees, and I was there around golden hour, so just as the sun was going down, and I'll show some footage because it was just stunning. It was one of the most relaxing and beautiful evenings that I've had so far this fall, and I really was feeling the fall vibes that night. I had made myself a coffee, I went and I just walked around the park, I took some videos and pictures. It was beautiful. I had such a good time. And like other parks around, like the Mont Royal Park, which is like 10 minutes walking away from me. Gorgeous. It's beautiful in the fall, and you can see the different changing leaves. There's so many parks in the city, way more than I ever felt that we had in Vancouver, and I'm just so grateful for that because they make me happy. Like if ever I'm in a bad mood or whatever, I just go walking in the park and instantly my mood improves. So just to be able to have that level of greenery around it makes a big difference in your life. And I know the city's like working to try and get even more greenery within city limits, which is like, I'm grateful for that. I think that it's a great initiative and I'm very supportive of that. Yeah, parks, like having access to parks within like half an hour of me is a huge thing. I love it. I love it so much. There's just something about going and walking in a park in the fall that's just so cathartic, and it just like it brings me good feelings. I've also been reading a lot. Books in general have been making me very happy. I've been reading a ton. I got through all of A Court of Thorns and Roses. I just finished A Court of Silver Flames, which was excellent. I usually read books digitally, but I actually ended up getting the box set of all of them because I just loved them enough. I've been doing this thing where I read books digitally, and if I like them enough, then I'll buy them physically, because there's really nothing that can top reading a book physically. I do really like reading physical books, but because I don't want to own that much stuff, I've stopped like reading them the first time digitally, and only if I really like a book and I think I'm gonna reread it, will I buy it physically. Unless, and this is the case with this other series that I just read, unless they're actually not available digitally, which is the case with these two fuckers. This is a series called The Bridge Kingdom. They had it digitally for a long time, and then suddenly Apple Books took it away, and I couldn't find it on Kobo. I couldn't find it on Apple Books. I don't think it was on Google Store either. So I don't know what happened, but I ended up buying them physically because there was literally no other way to read them, and I heard really good things about them, and I'm really glad that I did, because A, the cover art is beautiful. Only the hardcover. I'm not a big fan of the paperback editions of these because I just don't really like that art style very much. I much prefer these ones, so I would recommend, if you're wanting to read these books, get the hardcover because the art is a lot nicer. But it's very much my type of book. It's enemies to lovers, where a girl has been trained as an assassin her whole life, and she's charged with marrying the son of an enemy, or the king of an enemy kingdom, and basically tearing it apart from the inside. And of course, she falls in love with him. And I live for that kind of shit. I just love it. So I'm very glad that I got these. And just getting back into reading in general has made me very happy, because I didn't read for a very long time, for like a number of years, because I was busy with school and film and whatever. I just stopped reading kind of altogether. I read a lot when I worked at Indigo in my last year of university, because I worked at Indigo. That was basically all that I did, was sell books and read books. I was around books all the time, so it was all I wanted to do. And then when I left that job and I started working in film, and then I went to school for game design, I just didn't have that much time to read, and kind of my motivation to read like really dwindled, mostly because the books I was trying to read around that time were not the kind of books that got me into reading in the first place. So I was really into like romantic books, books about romance and adventure and that kind of stuff, a lot of young adult books. And I stopped reading them altogether because I was like, oh no, those are not for me. Like I was being pretentious and kind of elitist about it all, you know. But I realized now, in like the past year since basically the pandemic started, that, you know what, I'm just gonna read the books that got me into reading in the first place. So that's like a lot of romance books with many a spicy scene. And it's like, that if that's what I love to read, then why am I fighting against that? Why am I pretending to be this kind of intellectual person who loves to read classic literature and nonfiction? Which actually, you know what, I do love reading nonfiction. That's like the other genre that I enjoy reading, is I like young adult romance and nonfiction books, which is a very strange combination. But one of the nonfiction books that I have been reading and really enjoying is this one. It's called Entangled Life, and it's about mushrooms. We're reading this in our workbook club, and I am more than halfway through it at this point. Well, more than halfway. More than a quarter of what you see here. This is all acknowledgements. This is the actual book. So I'm about halfway through it, and they're talking about like mycelial minds and like the Orpheocordyceps mushroom that takes over the brain of ants and that inspired the cordyceps virus in The Last of Us. So it's a very interesting chapter, and it's a very interesting book all around. It's all about how fungi make our worlds, change our minds, and shape our futures. So this is the kind of like weird nonfiction book that I really like to read. But yeah, those are the books that I've been reading and loving. I got a whole bunch of new books for November, just the fall season, that like were very like fall-esque. I found a book that I read when I was very young, and I couldn't remember the name of it for the life of me, and I finally found it. It was called The Old Willis Place. I read this when I was about 11 or 12, and I remember just being absolutely obsessed with this book. It is a ghost story, like a children's ghost story for like ages 10 to 12. And it was just super engaging. It sets itself up as a ghost story, but you're not sure. There's a twist. There's a twist at the end, and it's great. So if you want to read like a really short, really sweet little ghost story for kids, or for preteens, 9 to 12. It's a 9 to 12 book. It's very good. Would recommend. I'm working my way through it at the moment. Other things that have been making me happy. Other YouTubers actually that have been making me happy. Again, these YouTubers I got really into kind of live out in like the outskirts of cities or just out in the middle of nowhere. I discovered Iona Yintan, which I know she's a huge YouTuber, but I had never really watched her vlogs until recently, and I just fell in love with them. But yes, Iona Yintan has an amazing channel where she just goes and takes videos of like the Swedish countryside and beautiful like scenic scapes, like landscapes, scenic landscapes, trees and water, winter, summer, fall, all kinds of things. It's just very hypnotic. It's very hypnotic and relaxing to listen to. I like to watch and listen to her videos like late at night when it's like everything's quiet and you just feel at ease. And her videos definitely put me more at ease. The same thing with this other YouTuber that I've gotten really into. It's the Cottage Fairy. She's not as big as Iona Yintan, but she has very like high quality videos, lots of nature shots, flowers and trees and streams, rivers. And it's just like, I love her content because her voice is very relaxing. Like I could listen to her speak for hours and hours. She should definitely get into like reading ebooks. She's an artist who lives out in Washington State, and she lives in this beautiful valley in this tiny cottage with her dog and her rabbit, and she just talks about her life and different things that she's learned throughout her life. And it's very interesting to listen to and watch as well, because she like films herself making these pastries out of the things that she grows in her garden, like flowers and things that you would never think about to make jams or cookies out of. And it's given me a lot of ideas for my own like baking, I guess. And also her videos are what inspired me to start my own garden next year on my balcony. So yeah, even though I live in the middle of a city, I want to take some of her advice and like just get started on that kind of stuff because she's so inspiring. Given that October just passed, I watched a whole lot of fall movies and October like Halloween movies. We were watching a lot of like Netflix and Disney Plus because there's a lot of movies that I haven't seen, like classic movies that I've never seen. Even though I was in film and I went to film school, there's a lot of movies that I have not seen. I'd never seen Addams Family, I'd never seen Beetlejuice, I had never seen Hocus Pocus, and I watched all three of those. So we watched Addams Family and Addams Family Values. I watched Beetlejuice for the first time, that was on Halloween. I watched Hocus Pocus, and I've seen Rocky Horror Picture Show before, but it was one that I went back and watched all over again because I just enjoy it. I watched Twilight because, okay, those movies, I know they're terrible and I know the story is terrible. I know the representation of relationships is terrible, absolutely horrible. But those are my guilty pleasure movies. I, for some reason, just really like them. But every time I watch them, it's just this constant battle against these characters where I'm just like, oh my God, you're so dumb. Why would you say that? How can you not see that this is a red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag? And so watching them is a guilty pleasure, but it's not the most enjoyable experience because I just struggle with a lot of the content in those movies and taking it seriously. But I don't know. I guess I can be critical of content but also enjoy it at the same time. I've heard that that's where wisdom starts, is when two conflicting ideas can exist in your head at the same time. But who knows? They're my guilty pleasure and I can't help but go back and watch them. Just can't help it. Just can't help it. They're terrible, but I love them. Oh, what else did I watch? Oh, I started rewatching Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I got through season 1 because I was working on one of my pieces of art, and one of them that I was drawing was Buffy. And I started watching season 1 and I really forgot how good that show is. And it honestly really holds up. The only thing that doesn't hold up is the VFX. The VFX it leaves something to be desired, but the actual content and the story and everything about it just holds up so well. I really, really love Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and honestly, I work through it just so that I can see Spike again, because Spike is my favorite character. I thought Spike was so much better than Angel. I like broody boys, but Angel is way too broody for me. Spike is like the perfect balance of broody and sassy. Angel was just broody, and that made him boring. I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle Angel, but Spike was chef's kiss. Buffy forever. There's still a whole bunch of movies and TV shows on my list of things to watch this fall. Like, I really want to see Over the Garden Wall. I have never seen that before, and my boyfriend has been talking about it forever. He really wants to watch it with me. I've never seen The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, even though I worked on that show. I worked on that show for like an episode because I was taking over the script supervisor that was normally on that show. They needed someone to fill in for a few days, so I worked on one of the episodes of season 2, but I've never seen the show before. I just worked on it. But I really loved Hocus Pocus. That was like one of my favorite movies that I watched this fall. I found myself rooting for the witches so much more than the children, because the witches were like, they were funny and likable and charismatic, and the children were not. They were not those things, any of those things. And I just, I'm not really a children person. I don't really want my own children. I don't mind other people's children when I have limited contact with them. So whenever children are main characters, I'm like, no thank you. But I do really love the witches. They're great. We watched another movie, Night Books. We watched The Night Books that was on Netflix, and that one was actually quite good. I really liked the boy and the girl. I say I don't like children, but they were like teenagers, which was more fine, and I found they had more personality and charisma than the kids in Hocus Pocus had. I watched like the last bit of Ghostbusters 2 because I guess my boyfriend was watching it when I was not home, so I got home and I watched like the last 5 minutes of Ghostbusters 2. Yeah, there's a ton of movies, ton of really good movies to watch in the fall that have just like brilliant fall vibes and then just make me want to run around in a forest when the leaves are falling and turning yellow. Speaking of yellow leaves, the next thing that's been making me happy is just the general fall vibes. This year has felt more like fall. Like, I've been feeling the fall vibes and the Halloween vibes and now the holiday vibes so much more than in the past like 5 or even like 8 years. In the past like I don't know how many years, I've just not been feeling the fall vibes or the Christmas vibes or like any of the holiday vibes that I usually feel around like September to December. And this year is the first year in such a long time where I've been feeling them. It's amazing. I feel like I'm 10 years old again. I feel like I'm 10 years old again, looking forward to the Christmas season, to September to December, because that's like usually my favorite time of year. And I've been so disappointed for the past like however long, because I've just, the seasons have come and gone, or this one season has come and gone, and I felt nothing. And this year, I'm so looking forward to it, and I love the changing trees and the pumpkin spice lattes. Now I finally bought eggnog for the first time this Christmas season, and I've started making eggnog lattes in the morning, and I want to listen to Christmas music. I want to watch Halloween movies. I wanted to get dressed up in a Halloween costume and do my makeup and go to a Halloween party. And it's felt like Halloween. It's felt like October. It's felt like November. I've been getting hyped for this season for the first time in so long. So yeah, it's been really enjoyable to see the season change and to actually feel like it's fall. Like it's Halloween, like Christmas is coming. Like, you know, those vibes are there this year, and I don't know what changed, but I'm really happy that something did change and that I'm feeling that excitement about this season again, because I haven't felt it in so long and I've missed it so much. Another thing making me happy is just this channel in general. New makeup, a lot of the new makeup that I've been trying in the past few videos that I've made, it's been making me really happy. I've been feeling a lot more creative lately, just making videos and being involved in the community a little bit more, both on YouTube and on Instagram. Actually like reaching out to people and talking to other makeup lovers and making reviews and pushing myself out of my comfort zone in my videos and on Instagram or whatever it might be. It's just been making me really happy. I feel more motivated than I ever actually. I'm feeling more motivated now than I have in a long time, at least, to make these videos and to be active on my YouTube, because for a long time I wasn't. Right after I moved here, it was a bit of a struggle to kind of get into a pattern of making these videos and feeling comfortable in this space, I guess, to make videos, because there was like a mental hurdle that I had to jump over of like, oh, where am I going to film in the apartment? How am I going to find the time? And now it's like, okay, I have my 1 hour at lunch when I can film something. Sometimes I'll go a little bit over, but for the most part, I have that 1 hour at lunchtime where I can film things, and then I have weekends. So yeah, I have time. I've been making time for this channel and actually putting resources into it. I found a good balance between like buying everything and only buying certain things, or buying nothing at least, because I have been buying things. Like I've failed on the no buy and I kind of gave up on it, and there's a video coming up about which basically is the no buy update, talking about how my mentality has changed a little bit surrounding this no buy. Well, no buy, it's mostly a low buy now, and the things that I've been kind of doing to kind of curb the spending habits, which has been working. It's been working. So yeah, I'm actually very excited for this channel again. And I know I don't have a whole lot of followers, but the followers I do have make me happy. And honestly, I'm not doing this for the followers. I'm not doing this for the notoriety. I'm not doing it for free stuff. I'm just doing it to get my passion out, to offer something to the community that maybe we already have in droves, or if I have my unique perspective on stuff, if I can inspire even just one person, then that's good enough for me, honestly. And because I do this for me, I don't do this for anybody else. I don't do this for free stuff. I don't do this for followers. I don't do it for notoriety. I do it for me because I like to talk about makeup and I like to share my passion for it. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing, and I'm not too worried about my follower count. I'm really not. I don't want to get too big because I feel like that's gonna come with all of its own kind of stressors. And I don't want this to ever become like my primary job, because I love the job that I have. So I feel like if I got too big, I would just get overwhelmed. So yeah, I'm happy just doing this for myself as a little hobby on the side, and whatever comes of it will come of it. But it's been making me happy in the past few weeks, and I'm really happy to have that motivation back and that inspiration. I'm happy to have that inspiration again to be doing my makeup more and to make videos about it now that I have like a good habitual process for making these videos. So yeah, it's been great to get back in the game. The last thing that I want to talk about that's been making me so happy has to do with a video game I've been playing. Actually, several. Animal Crossing's been making me really happy because the new DLC came out last weekend, and it's been great. It's been amazing. It was the necessary revitalization of that game that it desperately needed. It was like a huge content ad that game really needed. But aside, Animal Crossing aside, the thing that has been making me very happy is Jin Sakai's nose. I've been playing Ghost of Tsushima, which is this amazing game from Sucker Punch Games. That's the company, that's the studio. And it's a story about this samurai who the Mongols are invading the island of Tsushima, and you basically need to drive them out and like save people in the meantime. And it's a big open world game where you can like engage in the story, or you can just run around and like do fox shrines and collect flowers and ride your horse, and it has some of the most beautiful scenery you'll ever see in a video game. It's one of the most visually stunning games I've ever played. It's absolutely gorgeous. But the main character has no business being as handsome as he is. No business. For me, what is important is a good nose. I really like good noses on men, and oh my god, his nose is so nice. It is like perfect. It's such a good nose. And I love like turning the camera to the side to like a profile view and just like staring at his nose because it's so good. It's a good nose. I'll post a picture of it here because it's just, it's a good nose. It's a really, really good nose. I would recommend playing that game just for the nose. Excellent nose quality. 10 out of 10, great nose. And that's my review of the game. Jin Sakai has a great nose. 10 out of 10 game. Game of the year. Game of the fucking year. But that is it. I am losing the light. It's been fun. Those are all of the things that have been making me very happy lately. One of the things I didn't mention is baking bread. I've been baking a lot of bread, and that always makes me happy. Just any kind of bread baking, just bread in general makes me really happy. I love bread, but that is it. That's everything that's been making me happy lately. I'm sure there's more things, but those are all the things that I felt was notable to talk about. Thank you, as always, for hanging out with me. I would love to hear about all of the things that have been making you happy, so leave those down in the comments below. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Please do if you want to see more videos like this in the future. So yeah, that is everything, and I will see you in the next video.